Hey guys, today we're doing our 2024 Reset Glow Up Lifestyle Changing Plan. We are more than halfway through January. Crazy. I feel like for a lot of people, including myself, February is when I feel like the new year really kicks in, when I'm like, oh, it's a new year, like let's get it together. So I wanted to put together all the things I'm doing this year to really help me have my best year, things that I incorporated last year and saw a lot of change with, and just give you guys some tips and tricks that you can use. So let's get into the video. The first topic I'm going to talk about is wellness and health, internal and external. I do feel like they both matter and they are equally important. The first thing I wrote down in this section was supplements and vitamins, and last year I really implemented a lot of what I kind of already knew. I feel like I've known, especially having gone through LPN school, I had learned a lot about vitamins, but I wasn't necessarily like taking all the ones I needed to. I also didn't know what I was lacking, what I was deficient in. Last year I got all my vitamin levels checked and I realized that I was deficient in some of them, so I implemented those into my life. I also reminded myself of what certain vitamin deficiencies will cause, and I was shocked. Like I definitely knew this at some point, especially with vitamin D. That's the one that I really was shocked about. When I realized the different things that vitamin D controls and what deficiencies can cause, girl, I was on my vitamin D game, okay? I have not missed a single dose since, and I definitely have noticed a difference. I want to say within like 3 months of me taking vitamin D supplements, I noticed the areas where I saw a big difference. I do recommend getting your levels checked and also rechecked. You know, make sure that you're still on track, doing the right things, and making those changes in your diet if you need to. Speaking of diet, I definitely changed my diet completely last year. As you guys know, I went on a major weight loss journey and I'm pretty much at the end of my journey. I don't really have too much weight to lose. I'm not even going to talk about weight loss in this video because it's not something that I have on my goal list for this year. It's more so maintaining, toning that aspect. But for this part of the video, I'm going to focus on diet because that's something that I definitely had to change to really see results, along with the therapy that I am taking, as y'all know. So for my diet, I switched to more of a Mediterranean diet. That's what my doctor had recommended for me, and I definitely feel like my body appreciates that a lot more than how I was kind of eating. Generally speaking, I try to eat more whole foods. I will eat different things, you know, here and there, but I try to keep 80% of my diet cleaner, meaning I try to get things fresh, things that I cook myself, and just kind of know where things are coming from, if that makes sense. So that's something that I definitely implemented a lot more last year, and I saw the results from it. I was able to get rid of all the noise that I had previously with my therapy, so that definitely helped me. In general, finding a diet that works for you and your body, your lifestyle, internally and externally, is something that I think is really important, and just kind of sticking to it as best as you can. I also cut out a lot of added sugars. I was consuming a lot of added sugars, and I cut down on unhealthy fats. So for me, like, I remember when I first went to see my doctor and we were talking about diet, I was like, oh, I don't really eat too much fat. But I realized that I associated fat with like fatty meats and fatty, like things that are just known to be fatty, like bacon. But there were a lot of sneaky fats in my diet, like croissants. Croissants were one of the things that I was having way more than I should have, and I didn't really associate it with fat. I associated it with a carb. I knew it was high in carbs, I knew it was high in calories, but I never thought of it as a fat. And it's definitely not a healthy fat like an avocado. There were a lot of other sneaky foods like croissants in my diet that I didn't really associate with unhealthy fats, so I had to definitely do a revamp and take those foods out. So I definitely encourage you to go through your diet if that's something that you need to work on. Go through and really, like, with a fine-tooth comb, make sure there aren't any sneaky things that you have in your diet. It's one thing to know, like, okay, I know I'm eating Chick-fil-A right now. I know this is Chick-fil-A. But if you're eating something and you're not really associating it with, you know, not the best for you, then I think you should know, if that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense. Another area that I want to improve on is water intake with electrolytes. I did increase my water intake a ton last year, way more than I ever have. But I definitely want to add more electrolytes in this year. I've been reading a lot about electrolytes and just learning how important they are for you. And a lot of times we are drinking a lot of water, but not replenishing electrolytes, which we do need to replace and replenish. So you can get them through your regular diet. In addition to reducing added sugars and unhealthy fats, I did increase healthy fats. I also increased fiber and healthy carbs and protein. I made a big increase in protein in my diet. I realized how important it was. And again, with my weight loss journey, I definitely had to increase protein to be sure that I didn't lose too much muscle mass. Those are the changes for the most part that I made with my diet. This year I do want to add in some more green juices. I feel like I didn't do as much last year than I did in the past years, so I want to bring out my juicer bring her out and also make more green juices and just like healthy juices in general to replenish my body. That kind of sums up the food section glow up. I also have down in the wellness and health category confidence, and confidence is something that I definitely worked on a lot last year. I was struggling with low to no self-confidence for so many years, and I talked about this briefly in some vlogs I believe, but I struggled with my weight for so long and my confidence was unfortunately tied to that. I tried everything in the books, the affirmations, I tried to, you know, do things to make me feel more confident, and I just could not get to where I wanted to be without losing weight. So for me, losing 70 pounds directly correlated with my confidence and how I saw myself, how I felt about myself. I know that's not everyone's story, but that was my story. And for you, maybe it's not weight, maybe it's something else. Whatever that thing is, working on that and making that a priority so that you feel your best, most confident self, I think is really important. One area that I definitely want to expand on in 2024 is learning from people that I view as like a role model and just expanding my knowledge in different areas. The areas that I want to learn in are mindset, finance, self-care, and overall just well-being. So finding podcasts, interviews, talks, books, whatever I can to increase my knowledge in those areas I think is important. I've actually already started implementing this on January 1st. I have been listening to a lot of interviews and talks. The last one I listened to was actually Michelle Obama. She was being interviewed on Jay Shetty's podcast. Loved that interview. So those are the types of things that I've been trying to get into my mind and just learn from people who just have all this knowledge on certain topics and on life in general. So learning from positive experience, role models is definitely something I think should be part of your glow up plan for this year. Lastly in this category is sleep. Okay, sleep is so important, girl, like you have no idea. So I am working really hard on my sleep journey this year. I really tried, I do all the things that I need to do. I've been doing the Sleepy Girl mocktail, basically magnesium and tart cherry juice to help with that. I have my Hatch machine to help me calm me down and wake up really nice and peacefully. I also have melatonin if I need it. I try not to take melatonin every night, but if I feel like I need it, I'll take it. Having a good night of sleep really makes such a difference in the next day, like how productive I am. Like 80% of it depends on my sleep the night before. So I think sleep is so important, and working on a good sleep schedule, a good sleep routine should be part of your glow up plan for so many reasons. So those are the areas in health, wellness, internal and external that I want to work on this year, including toning. I briefly want to mention toning up my body with weights, classes. I do want to start doing some more classes at the gym or different studios, I guess. It's most likely going to be Pilates, but whatever it is, I want to include some type of like class, maybe kickboxing. So we're going to get into self-care, which definitely has to be part of any glow up plan. I don't care what I don't care what else you have in your glow up plan. Self-care has to be there, okay? Self-care is so important to maintaining a healthy relationship with yourself. Self-care is linked to improved mental health, self-esteem, self-worth, and optimism. It involves valuing ourselves enough to make our health, well-being, and happiness a priority. And that's on Google. Everything I mentioned earlier does kind of fall into self-care as well, but I wanted it to be its own section because I do think you need to break it down and talk about each category, I guess. So for me, hair, skin, nails are three areas that I definitely do not want to neglect in 2024. I felt like sometimes I would just get so busy last year or in general in the past, and I would ignore or neglect certain things. And I realized that when I did that, I never liked the feelings. I was never the best at keeping up with appointments and scheduling them, which I still struggle with, but this is something that I want to work on. I like going to people who are really good, and obviously when people are really good, they're gonna be booked. So I'm not left last minute without an appointment, feeling anxious about it. And I know that's not everybody's reality, like some people could care less, but for me, I know that I like having my hair done, and I like having it pre-done in styles like a sew-in or braids, something that I can wake up and feel like I don't have to do my hair. I love that. Same thing with nails, and same thing with skin. Skincare is so important for me. I have sensitive skin, so skincare is a must for me. I cannot neglect my skin. If I neglect my skin one day, I will immediately notice it the next night. Like my skin does not play with me, okay? No, my skin is standing on business. If I don't treat it right, it will not treat me right. Taking care of your skin at home, I do want to add in facials this year. I've never been one to get facials, and part of that is because I'm so scared. Like my skin is so sensitive that I'm actually scared to go and get facials because I'm like, I don't know how it's gonna react to these products or ingredients or whatever. So but I do want to find a good esthetician, someone who knows sensitive skin, someone who's like very experienced, and incorporate that into my routine, whether it be every 6 months, every 3 months, whatever I need. Those are the things I want to work on when it comes to like external self-care, beauty treatments, those things. Another area of self-care that I think is important is curating a space in your home or your workspace, wherever you are most of your time. Curating an area where you can feel a little bit of peace, serenity, an area that you can just be relaxed at. I think it's really important. I try to create this area in every section of my home because to me, I'm a visual person. So when I see something that looks clean and airy and just tidy, it makes me feel good. Like I get butterflies. So I think it's really important to just have that. Like even if your sink is full of dishes, maybe you have a clean section in your living room or in your bathroom or in your bedroom that you can sit and feel like, like sigh, you know. I think that's really important. Or maybe if your bedroom is messy, you can clean the sink. Like I think this should always be an area that is just clean and just an area that you can just go and decompress and just feel a weight lifted. For me at least, like whatever my eyes are seeing, like if my eyes are seeing clutter, my head gets cluttered, my brain gets foggy, like I can't focus. Okay, it doesn't have to be fancy or over the top or expensive, but just like a small area that you can put together that just brings you a little bit of peace. Lastly, for self-care, I would say mental health is something that is such a big topic, but I'm only going to brush on it because I'm not an expert. But doing things that's going to help your mental health, which all of these things I mentioned does help your mental health, whether it be directly or indirectly. One area that I definitely want to stress on is focusing on your circle, whether that be your online circle or your in-person circle. And honestly, I think your in-person circle is even more important to focus on than your online one, because online I think it's really easy to it's easy to follow the wrong people and to subscribe to the wrong entertainment, but it's really easy to cut those things out at the same time. So you can unsubscribe very easily to gossip or to people who are just negative or just give off negative energy, but in your real life it's a lot harder to get rid of people, right? Focusing on that and finding ways maybe you could reduce time spent with certain people, or just being vocal, letting people know how you feel, even though a lot of people don't like to be told, you know, who they are. But however you can do that in a gentle way, maybe not gentle, I don't know. I think it's important because you only have one life and you don't need anybody adding any type of unnecessary negativity, drama, nonsense to your life. Okay, I feel like we have the areas of our glow up plan kind of mapped out, but in order to achieve those things and to stay on track, I do think routines are so important. So just having various routines throughout your day, whether it be a daily routine, monthly, yearly, quarterly, whatever the case, routines are what's gonna get you to where you want to be and to help make the process more attainable. So starting your day with a morning routine that works for you is so important. For me, I have been practicing journaling. I got a journal for the new year. I think I showed it in one of my vlogs, but it's definitely been helping me, reminded me every morning to be grateful. Gratitude is so important, but it's also something that is so easily forgotten. Just waking up and having that be one of the first things I do is really important. I also love starting my day out with prayer. For me, it's very grounding and it's really important to me, so it's something that I like to do in the morning when I start my day. And that looks different for me every day, like whether it be a devotional or reading the Bible or just having a prayer without either or. I think however I can, maybe it's worship music on one day. It looks very different for me every day, but I think just having some form of it is really important, at least for me. One thing I've also implemented this year is listening to speeches in the morning. So I have been listening to some motivational speeches to get me started. And this sounds like a very long routine, but you'd be surprised, like it's really quick. The journal that I use is the 5-minute journal. It's so quick. As far as the speeches go, I usually do that while I'm doing something else. Try to find speeches that are anywhere from 5 to 30-40 minutes. If it's a longer speech, like on the 40-minute side, I may listen to the rest the next day. I will make my bed, I'll make my coffee, I'll brush my teeth, I'll get started for the day, and before I know it, the speech is over. It gets me in such a good mindset. Like, it just gets me ready for the day every time. You can also listen to podcasts. If you have a podcast that you like listening to, you can put that on in the morning to educate yourself. I love listening to podcasts that interview people who are knowledgeable on a certain topic. That's pretty much my current morning routine. Once I do those things, I'm usually good to start my day on the right foot, head to the gym if I need to. Something that I've also incorporated this year is a new schedule for myself. I am a work from home mom, so I need schedules, and it's something that I didn't realize until late last year. But once I did realize it, I started to work on a good schedule for myself. For time management, it's so important because I was going crazy, okay? Like, I could not get a grip of my schedule. I felt like I was being pulled in 20 different places, and I just couldn't control what I wanted to do. I don't like the feeling of not being in control of myself, of my schedule, and I found that was happening so much last year, and I really needed something that's going to work for me. So what I do for my schedule, it's going to look different for everybody depending on what your situation is. Providing some type of structure for yourself definitely helps. I feel like we as humans kind of need some type of structure, just naturally, maybe. I don't know what it is, but I just thrive better when I give myself some type of schedule. And then I also started doing a dinner menu. That's something that I really struggled with because I would just wait last minute, you know, like on top of not having an organized work schedule, I would have no clue what we were gonna eat for dinner. And the only day that I had covered was Tuesday, Taco Tuesday, and then every other day I'm like, what do we have for dinner? I have 2 picky kids, very picky eaters, so having that organization definitely has helped me so much. I started on January 1st, and this has been the first time that I have not have any stress when it came to food in forever. I found an Etsy digital meal planner. You can get a physical one as well for on paper, and I just write down what I'm gonna have each day of the week for each person. Well, Johnny and I are the same, but the kids, each kid, and I just know exactly what I'm gonna make on each night. I also know what groceries I'm gonna buy. It just helps me with the groceries and with the meals. So it's just been a lifesaver, and it's something that a lot of people do, but I personally just never did it. I don't know why. If you haven't tried it and you have kids, highly recommend having a meal planner and knowing exactly what you're gonna make. Another routine that I think is important for your glow up and your best self is a hygiene routine. Hygiene and, like, I think it's endorphins, I forget which hormone, the happy hormone, they're so linked, and I've seen a lot of articles on that. Just taking care of yourself. There are days where I'll be feeling like crap, like I didn't sleep enough, you know. I'll take a nice shower, smell my favorite body wash, put on my oils, and girl, I feel like a whole new person. I feel like I'm ready for the day. I'm ready for anything. You can incorporate a little bit of something with whatever time you have, and it will make a difference. Like, your body loves that, and it does something to your brain. It like tickles your brain, and you will feel better. So having a good hygiene routine, finding aromas that work for you, finding products that you enjoy using. It doesn't have to be expensive. It's something that can be relatively on the cheaper end, but it's gonna make a big difference in your overall mood, and ultimately it's gonna trickle into every other category of your life and just help you become a better more confidence, just overall better humans. I think setting these goals, having a vision board is also important. Just different ways to remind yourself of how and what you're trying to achieve for the year is important. I did make a vision board for this year. I always make a vision board, and most times I feel like a lot of things on there do happen just because I'm constantly reminding myself of what I want on that vision board. It may not happen exactly how I picture it, but in general, I like to be reminded of my goals because it's so easy to get sidetracked. It's so easy, y'all, especially nowadays where you got 50 million things on your mind. You will forget what your goal is. So just having that constant reminder. I have my vision board on my laptop as a screensaver. I have it on my phone as a screensaver. I have it in places that I'm constantly looking at so that I'm constantly reminding myself. Also having goal trackers, you can do that to, you just remind yourself, using apps and stuff to stay organized. I use Notion to help me plan content, but you could also use Notion for like work and life. I also use the Notes app a lot. My to-do list, I have an ongoing to-do list in the Notes app in my iPhone, and I just write what I need to do every day. I put the little bubbles. I love checking off those bubbles, y'all. If it's one thing I'm gonna do at the end of the day is check off those little bubbles in my to-do list. And with that, we're gonna have an amazing year. Everything is gonna come into fruition. We're gonna do all the work. We're gonna do all the things we need to do to get our mind right, body, mind, soul. Okay, like that's the goal. Not she's a rap. If you stay till the end, thank you so much for watching. I love you guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.